I'm here to talk to you about the power of friends. This is a subject which should be very close to all of you because everybody of you has friends. I'm going to take you through a journey where I will show what can you do with your friends together. I had the luck to work with some of my friends and create a charitable organization which is changing thousands and thousands of lives. The context is Pakistan. Pakistan is a country with varying landscape, the tallest of the mountains and the deepest of the valleys, roaring rivers and quiet desert. It's a country where 57% literacy rate, but in cities you can get up to 90%, 95%. In some villages in tribal areas, it's only like 30%. It's a country which is eager to learn, which is eager to grow. I was lucky that I grew up in that country. I did my engineering from Pakistan and then started to work with one of the largest corporations in the world who was leader in consumer electronics industry. And I had a 33 years career spanning over 3 continents. I worked in Asia, I worked in Europe, and I worked in the United States. And by the turn of century, I was in Silicon Valley, in California, where I smelled the fragrance of innovation and optimism. It was year 2000. The market was booming. Everything was going good for us. My family was happy. I was happy. I went to my mentor, excited, and I told him, hey, things are going extremely well for me. Thank you for mentoring me over this period. And I cannot forget what he said to me. He said, son, get ready, charge up your batteries. And he was so damn right. Next year, 2001, the internet bubble burst. The market came crashing down. Lot of economic problems for all the companies. What happens next? In November 2002, I decided to take an early retirement. A very respectful word. The reality was, I was laid off. But I kind of like this word, early retirement. I even began to fantasize about it. Oh, I'm going to have a great life now. So I told my friends, and they were all excited, and they welcomed me to their world of relaxation and all. But with my wife, I had another discussion. Now, she has a tremendous capability of summarizing the most complex of the concepts in not two sentences, 2 words. So when I explained to her the scenario, she said, oh, you mean double the husband at half the salary? And I said, yes, darling. Listen, I like it. I can live with it. We had been married by then at about 25 years. Now we are more than 40. And I know that she knows me better than I do myself. And she told me, come on, at the age of 56, I think if you retire, you'll be unhappy. Think about something new. Do something different. And she was damn right. So we moved together to Hong Kong, a wonderful city, bustling with energy. I started a consultancy in high tech, which went reasonably well. Now, being your own boss is a fantastic thing, I can tell you. And that gave me a little bit of time to think, what did I achieve, what did I miss in life, and how to spend the next years. And as I was working this through, two things came out very clear on the table. First one was that my becoming an engineer back in 1968 basically assured my financial success. I really believe that if I would not have become an engineer at that time, I would not have been standing here as a successful executive. The next thing was, I started to get a feeling that I owe something to somebody. You know, when I really searched and searched, I found it was my home country. But what can I do? I had very limited resources. But anyhow, I decided to go to Pakistan and do some research. I went to some universities, I went to some towns, villages. And what I found in Pakistan was something very unique. I found that brilliance was fighting with poverty. Hand-to-hand fight, day-to-day fight. There were students whose life you cannot imagine. The children would walk 5 miles to get to school. 3 square meals is a dream. But the beauty was that the choices these children and the parents make in life, in this situation, they would skip a meal and buy a book. This is their life and this is their choice. I had these beautiful friends in Pakistan. They're all very successful people. They are CEOs of corporations or very successful businessmen. So I went to them and I discussed these things that, you know, there is so many brilliant students who are at the risk of losing their dreams. We can't leave them here. Can we do something? And I was so glad to see that actually that feeling of debt was present in each one of my friends. They were actually much ahead of me. They were already doing something in many cases. But they liked the idea that I had been kind of formulating. They contributed to the discussion. And they all said, yes, we will do it. And my God, that day, I felt rich. I felt not the limit of resources that I had back 3 months ago. And I considered myself very lucky. I wrote to my children that I am so lucky to have friends like this. I hope you would be so too. We put a stake in the ground. We said that we would launch Professional Education Foundation, a charitable trust in Pakistan. And what would it do? Simple. Poverty alleviation. Because we believe that poverty is the cause of all ills. How we will do it? Through professional education. Because professional education has changed my life. And I thought that it will change also a lot of people who are in a situation where they are entitled, but they cannot afford. What do? We pick up the most able and the most poorest of the students. What we do is we pay for their next 5 years or 4 years of full education cost, and in some cases also their boarding and lodging. Now you must understand that, I'll tell you the numbers later on, but all the students that we fund almost work and study. They earn and study, despite the fact that we can pay for their 100% of the education cost, because they have to pay for their boarding and lodging. We initially focused on undergrad degree, engineering, medicine, IT, and business administration. We provided interest-free loans, and we provided outright scholarships. It's very interesting that many students refuse outright scholarship and they say that we would be happy with interest-free loans. That is their ethical values coming from such a background. Amazing. First of all, look at their academic profile. Only 5% of the students who apply in a professional college in Pakistan typically would get an admission. And one of the conditions that we have laid down is that the student has to get an admission on its own merit. That means that we're talking about 5% top talent. But their financial situation is worrisome at best. They have gotten an admission. They are actually weeping because they can't see how they can fund it. Their parents' faces have dropped down. My son and my daughter have gone and gotten an admission in a medical college. He or she is just 4 or 5 years away from outright success. But how do I pay? Look at these statistics. UK's per capita income is $41,000 a year. Pakistan is something like $1,200 to $1,300. We are talking of students from the families where the per capita income is just $360. It's like $30 a month. Now, look at another aspect. My friends who are all for it, they are all businessmen, they're looking for return on investment, not to themselves, but to the society. And for us, a lot of people ask, why do you do professional education? Why did you choose professional education? And the answer was simple. Because it is the most fastest return, it is demonstrable, and it is measurable. Look at the cost of education. It takes $2,400 to educate an engineer in Pakistan in a public university. It takes $3,000 to educate a doctor. Now you might say, hey, this looks very cheap, right? Just imagine $30 a month per capita income. These families have never seen that kind of money. It's mountain for them. But look at the result. Just 4 or 5 years later, when they come to the market and they will get their first job, they will earn the entire money in 1 year, what we would have invested in them, even more. We started with 75 students in 2010. Last year, we did 1,200 students. And by 2020, we shall be at 3,500 students. All of them earn and study. This is where they came from, most of them. This is where they are today. She's a doctor. This gentleman on the left-hand side is an engineer. He just told me that he had earned in 2 years 7 times salary, 7 times the investment on his education in the 4 years. This is a story of dreamers, believers, and achievers. It is a motivating story. It gives me a tremendous amount of motivation when I talk to these students. Now, TED is about learning, ideas. So I'm going to summarize this talk by saying what are the 5 things that I have learned, and maybe you can get some benefit out of it. First thing is, you don't have to be a multimillionaire to start thinking about a charitable operation. The second very important thing is that you must have a very clear and a differentiated value proposition. We focused on professional education when nobody else was. There are tons of charities who are working on higher school and lower school systems. But you've got to be passionate. You've got to be passionate in order to inspire others. Another very important learning for me was that if you have 25% of the story in your head, go and put a stake in the ground. A stake in the ground has its own dynamics. We didn't know much about how are we going to do that when we put the stake in our ground. But it gave us the impetus of thinking how to do, what to do. Lastly, but not the least, make use of your friends in a positive way. Reconnect them. And there is an enormous amount of energy with them. I was initially excited by the idea of just playing golf with them, But I can tell you this is more enjoyable than golf. These are my friends. I'm very lucky to have them. I'm sure that you will also have such good friends. And I wish you best of friends and best of good causes. Thank you.